So, hey, sweethearts, it's Rowan, and no, also, that's new. So, I, da, 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 da. I had a live Chuck Tingle reading, set for a week ago, and that didn't happen because I had been without a phone since the previous Tuesday. Um, while I technically had a phone, that is the one that is in here all packed up. Woohoo! Going to go back to the insurance claim today. So I'm filming this here now from the one that was sent to replace this thing that so basically it wasn't accepting a charge. Like I could plug it in and it like if I held the charge cable from if I held it from the charge cable so that it would like sit like yay and like at this weird and there was this weird like 60-ish degree angle that was like the sweet spot to hold this thing so that it would like so that the phone would like sit like okay, so this would be 90 and oh wait, no, I'm thinking so more like at I guess so this would be 90 and so up around here would be the sweet spot. So we're looking at a 110 degree angle, up thereabouts. That was the sweet spot to get it to take a little charge and like wouldn't even do that much. And it took me a couple days to get to the Sprint store because there's only one in the area that has authorized repair services. There used to be one much closer to me, but they haven't been doing repair services for a couple years. And even though the Sprint website said, on there that one was did repairs, at least until this year, as in 2018, at least until 2018, the website said that. And I know this because I went there last year, where I replaced an old Samsung Galaxy J3. That's what it was. With this one. And I don't even remember what the hell the guy did, but like, after we were arguing with somebody with Sprint, we were arguing with them because my Galaxy J3 that was completely inoperable. Like the screen wouldn't even turn on. Like it would kind of turn on, like you could see it flicker, but then it would just like and so after a whole bunch of arguing with Sprint people over the phone at the store, he just, said, "Here, let me talk to him." So I handed him the phone and he hung up on the guy. And he said, "Look, you've been answering their same questions. This is the fifth person I've heard them pass you on to. I'm sick of hearing this." This is exactly what he's hearing. He's like, "I'm sick of hearing this. And, you're frustrated. I'm frustrated on your behalf. So, I'm going, if I get in trouble for this, it was totally worth it." So he did something on my account, so that the J3 was, excuse me, food got caught in here. It was no longer something I had to pay for anymore. And he gave me the Moto, E4. And this is what I've been replaced with. And this was about 14 months ago. So this, I don't know. I've never had a Samsung phone last a full year on me. Maybe 13 months. But as far as the screen goes, I've never had a screen last a year without something happening. This one, it got a very tiny crack in a lower corner. Nothing like I'd seen a Samsung get. So as far as I'm concerned, the Motorola screens are, or at least seem to be a little bit hardier, at least under the use I put them through, which, I take care of my things, but um I know I'm not as extremely careful with them as some people can be. Um, Probably like 5 people in all of, this part of Michigan maybe, are, like perfectly careful. They don't need to put an OtterBox or anything on it. I'm a little bit more careful than average, but still, I do things. I have 3 cats. Like, they knocked over a plant and I can't find the whole plant, and it's not even a plant they should want to eat. It's a succulent. I can't find the whole thing. I don't know what they did to it. Maybe they sold it for drugs. Maybe they sold it for a plant they would eat, basically. So yeah, like, basically he somehow eliminated the remainder due on the Samsung. Got me a Moto, which was something like $10 a month. So it's a little bit cheaper than the Samsungs, but like I said, the screen is a little bit hardier. It's just, the charge port on this one, I got maybe 14, 15 months out of it. And that's the great tragedy of, all of this, modern, technology, or at least I'd say contemporary technology, because I don't know, I guess, yeah, well, I don't know how they'd classify modern technology in terms of eras, because like when you talk about language, Shakespeare is speaking, was writing in what is considered modern English. It's just an earlier form of modern English. Um, which is how most people can, you know, generally understand Shakespeare. Like, even if you don't know the exact words he was using, or the exact way in which he was using words that, would seem strange to, a person in 2018. Hold on a sec. Yeah. You can still figure out from context what Shakespeare is talking about if you only, speak relatively, like, not completely formal, but, like, relatively colloquial, average conversational, use of English. You can generally figure out Shakespeare. It's just, like I said, it's an early form of modern English. Chaucer would be Middle English. I've seen people say he's Old English. I'm like, no, he's technically Middle English. I don't remember which part of the Middle English language era, but he's not Early English. That's for damn sure. He's not Early or Old English. He's Middle English, and that you need to, study a bit more to, to be able to read without, a, little translation notes. Like, you need to, you basically need to study that a bit more. So yeah, and because the bus, I've gone on at great length on my channel in another video specifically. I did a whole video, like, sitting at a bus stop, about why the public transportations in Southeast Michigan are terrible. So the bus in the Ann Arbor Ypsilanti area, it doesn't suck quite as bad as it does in some places. Like Lenawee County, no, at least as of the time I went to high school there, and I haven't heard about the public transportation in Lenawee County getting any better since I moved out. People have told me that some of the cultural aspects of living in Lenawee County have seen some improvements since I moved out, but high school was so emotionally traumatic for me that I trust this. Like, I could somehow, for some ungodly reason, end up living there, for, what's agreed to be a year. I still, if I saw some things look better, I would be like, okay, this might just be the context of the people that I'm interacting with, because, this is not the whole picture. It would be decades before I would be convinced that, just because I was so young at the time. But I'm getting sidetracked. So, because the bus is still not as good as it could be in this area, And plus, there's the fact that the Sprint store location has limited hours for the repair services. So, even though the store itself is open until 8, I believe the website says. So this is the one on Oak Valley Drive. You can look up, if you want to look up the Sprint location, it's the one on Oak Valley Drive. The website on sprint.com, whatever their location finder thing map is, it'll say that the hours are until 8. It will even say that the repair location, that the repair center, like section of the store is open until 8. But when you call the location and you ask them, like, if these hours are correct, they'll say, no, we only take repair appointments until 6:30. And, if something can't be fixed on your phone by, say, 7, we're going to consider it like, broken beyond repair under normal circumstances anyway. I don't know, unless it's something just kind of stupid, but basically, they do their last appointment repair. Like, you can even come and just walk in repair, but like they won't really accept people after 6:30 for repair services at that location, even though the store itself is open until 8, and they really want your repair service to be finished by 7. So that is why. So let's see. Wednesday, so a week ago today, that was the 28th. I was going to do a Chuck Tingle read. I might do that today. I might do that instead today. The tablet is charged. Obviously, I have a working phone, but Wednesday, like, my phone, I could not get it to hold a charge past about 20%. Because of the limited hours at the store and on the bus, I was not able to get out there on Wednesday. Plus, I had a lot of things to do. My schedule is in my bag, which is in my bedroom, and so I'm just going off of memory, which is not going to be perfect. So basically, I had a few things to do on Wednesday that could not be put off. I was also kind of trying to hold on to some form of hope that, this was just an issue that I could, fix myself. I was thinking, okay, at that time I was still thinking maybe it could be the charge cable. So I decided Thursday I was going to try to get a new charge cable. Let's see, then what happened? That didn't seem to work, and by the time I was done doing a couple other things that I needed to do on Thursday, there was no time to go to what's that called? The repair center for Sprint. So I just decided, fuck it. There's no time anyway, so I'm going to the board game night at the engineering department, one of their buildings. The Bob and Betty Beyser, Beyser, building. So a friend of mine, she teaches discrete maths, and I have no idea what discrete maths are, other than, like, I don't know, like, does arithmetic have a grinder profile, right? Apparently, I'm the first person to make that joke to her. I don't understand. Like, I know so many people in the STEM fields, so science, technology, engineering, and maths. I know so many people in STEM fields, or at least, studying it fields. I know so many who, and this is maybe that's where, like, because I also have a lot of friends who just coincidentally are autistic, and I'm not myself. I've got ADHD, and while there is some overlap of symptoms, I might have mentioned this before. While there is some overlap of symptoms, and while some people can have ADHD comorbid with autism, it's like this is like kind of the over, maybe it's not so much the overlap of symptoms, but kind of an overlap of life experience, because you do need generally, different sets of symptoms for either. So there can be some comorbidity there, but like as far as life experiences goes, there does seem to be a little bit of overlap. And I wanted some hazelnut in here too. But so I don't know. Maybe it's just like certain neurodivergencies. We just have enough similar sort of things going on with our lives that what happens, that we just sort of gravitate toward each other. But then what was I saying? Yeah, so I went to game night there. So, she teaches discrete maths, and I can't remember if she is still taking class or not, because some do both. Some people at University of Michigan do both. If only because how can you continue to pay for classes unless you're also teaching in some capacity, and you get some kind of tuition reimbursement, or tuition complimentary, at a reduced pay rate or something. But that's another story for another time. So, while it is generally game night there, and it is every Thursday except for holidays, obviously. So, while it is generally mostly the engineering and STEM students, it's kind of hosted by just like open invite, like any kind of students can go, or friends of people in the departments, or friends of people, people who go often invite their friends. So I showed up as a friend of my friend Emily. I keep forgetting that she's been preferring they recently, and I just said it again, but they do prefer going by they recently, but she is kind of acceptable, and Emily's wife is my friend Raven, and Raven prefers she, but they is acceptable if you forget. It's just like there is a completely unacceptable answer, but there's also a more acceptable, but there's also the more acceptable option, right? Trans people, what are you gonna do? So yeah, and game night is at 7. So, and it does take me an odd little combination of buses to get out there, but at the same time, it's like, so yeah, like ideally, I would leave at 6. I didn't get there until almost 7:30 this past Thursday, but then what happened? But still, it was around like 7:15ish. I know Emily and a couple people had already started up on one game, but then we played a few rounds of something else. But then what happened is so ideally I would leave at 6 for game night and get there a little early, but I would have to leave at around 5:30 at the very latest to get to the Sprint store by 6:30. And it was one of those things where, like, even if I'd gotten everything done that I needed done by 5, which realistically that almost never happens, let's be honest, it would have been an either or thing. And it's like, I could put up with a busted phone for one more day, just to, forget about my stresses for a few hours and play board games with, my friends and some other friendly people that I know through my friends. So sometimes you just got to make that choice, right? Of course. Especially if you deal with, like chronic pain and mental health issues, as I do. Sometimes you just got to say to yourself, okay, I have dealt with enough stress for the day. In theory, I can do this moderately responsible thing, or, but it's not so bad that if I put it off for a day, I'd be that much worse off. So then Friday came around. I forget everything that happened. Oh, right. Friday, I was stuck here I was stuck here most of Friday, waiting for somebody to buy a vacuum cleaner off of me. So, they did eventually come around. It was originally said that they were going to show up around noon. They did not show up until about 2:30. At the same time, as promised, she did bring a full 30 when I was originally asking for 25, but she said, "Hey, if you can hold it until the 30th, I can give you, give you $5 more, making it an even 30." And I'm like, "Sure, yeah, I'll sit on it until at least the 30th, but, if the 30th passes and somebody wants to give me, 25 for it, then, and she's like, "Oh, yeah, no problem there." Oh God. And I noticed, because I had it posted to next door, somebody on the 29th offered me $10 for it. And I didn't know it until I got my phone, working phone, yesterday. And, I noticed this, and I noticed the date on their request, and it's like, I'm asking $25 for it. You can ask me, you can offer 15, and I wouldn't be insulted. I'd be like, okay, you clearly are acknowledging that I'm trying to make a little, especially when I said in the listing that the vacuum, like, it's not just the vacuum, it is a brand new box of bags for the vacuum. I have a whole video about how worst possible thing if you've got allergies. Like, they try and pitch them as this miracle thing, when actually, if you have a dust allergy, like myself and one of my cats, that would be my youngest, Murnau, he's got a terrible dust allergy. And I notice this, like, anytime I do any amount of cleaning, but at the same time, he'll be better after I do the cleaning. It's just during the cleaning, when the dust gets disrupted, that's when he's, like, sneezing all the time. He's had sneezing fits that lasted nearly a minute just from dust being disrupted. So he definitely has a dust allergy. I have a dust allergy. I had the little pin test on my back, and whoa, do I have a dust allergy. But then what happened was, so yeah, like, so it was a brand new box of vacuum bags that still had the price sticker of $19.99 on it, so $19.99, basically $20. And I even said in the listing, there's a picture of the box of vacuum bags in the listing with the little price sticker that says it's a $20 box of bags. And I said, the only, bag that's in here is the bag that it came with. So you've got a brand new, like, unopened. Well, okay, I think I technically opened it just to, like, count the bags and see if I needed any, and then I unzipped the thing, and it was like, oh, there's already a bag in here. Oh, well, fold these back up, stick them back in. So, okay, unused full box of vacuum bags. And he's asking, plus like a vacuum, plus like the vacuum for $5. Like, that's basically what I'm asking. It's like, got unused, complete, brand new vacuum bags for $20 plus a vacuum for $5. That's basically how I'm asking it, right? He's offering me half the price of the vacuum bags. Oh, which is insulting. Like, that's insulting at that point. $15, if he were offering me $15, I'd be like, okay, you understand that, I'm not trying to make a huge amount of money off of this, but I would at least like to get some kind of, I didn't give the whole story on how I got the vacuum with the bags. That was from my friend Sarah, who got them at a storage locker auction. So, she just gave me a vacuum and bags around the same day I came home with my vintage 1963 Hoover. It's either 62 or 63, but I basically called up to see how old it was exactly, because this is a model that's been around forever, but the serial number is not on their website. Like, you can look up by serial number how old your vacuum is, but there are not enough digits on the serial number on this to look up on their website archive. So I basically had to call somebody at Hoover, say, hey, here's the serial number. First, she says, that's not enough digits for a serial number on what I'm looking for here. And this is indeed a Hoover. Yes, it is indeed a Hoover. Okay, let me, get to somebody in our archives and we can call you right back. Okay. So yeah, 62, 63. He said that string of serial numbers ended in 60. So like that block of serial numbers ended in 63. So it may have been out, for delivery like around December of 62, but it definitely would have been on the shelves by early 63. So I have a 62, 63 Hoover that works perfectly. I can still find bags for it and everything. Basically, I liked this one better. I liked the Hoover better. And, I paid, I want to say it was 15 before tax. I still had the sticker on it for the longest time, but I took it off recently. So, 15, it would have cost me what the Hoover cost me. I would have at least made, back any money that I paid for the Hoover. So it was like I didn't pay for a vacuum at all. But, 15, nobody would be insulted if you're offering $15 on a $25 item. You may not get it, but it's not quite insulting at that point. When you get to less than half of the asking price, in your offer, you are at that point, either you're really young and naive and stupid, or at least some combination of them, or you're just outright insulting the person. And, I had just been having a terrible enough string of days by yesterday that my response to this kid, and I feel a little bad. And a kid, I saw a couple other posts from that name on Nextdoor, and I'm, after I responded to him, and I'm thinking, he may have been really young and just inexperienced and didn't realize this was going to insult anybody. At the same time, though, it just seems like common sense that, if you're asking less than half the asking price, that's, I don't know, it just seems common sense, right? So yeah, my response to him was just, fuck you. Like, he's asking $10 for a vacuum that he's offering $10 on a vacuum I'm asking for $25 on, that I got $30 for. So it's like, at that point, like, $10, really, fuck you, kid. At the same time, like, even if he is like, 15, I think, like I said, I'm just taking a guess from a couple other posts that he's made. Haven't seen a picture of him, but taking a guess from a couple other posts that I've seen from him, he's probably a teenager. It probably didn't occur to him that, especially when the post is under a month old, right? Like, if it had been up there for 3 or 4 months, okay, sure, but still, it's like, At the same time, I don't feel too bad if he is indeed very young, because, you gotta learn sometime. And, he did respond to my fuck you, but I didn't respond back. So it's like, it's over and done with. Now he knows exactly how insulting that sounds to people. Hopefully he won't do it again. Definitely not to me. Hopefully not to other people. Because I have a very unusual name. He's going to remember my name. So yeah, Friday I was here longer than I'd hoped to be, hoping to sell a vacuum. By the time I did get other things that I needed to do done, which was mostly go to the post office, I just didn't have the stamina to, because I got up kind of early. And, oh, wait, Thursday. No, yeah, Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. I remember what happened Thursday. Thursday, I had a doctor's appointment. It was my annual wellness check with the blood draws and everything. So yeah, Thursday, the 29th, I was at a doctor's appointment. That's why I couldn't get to the Sprint store, especially when you consider that I never know how long I'm going to be in at the doctor. So my appointment was at 3:10. I called for an A-Ride, which is the shared car service for people with the green bus pass. So it's a low-cost car service for people with disabilities. I sometimes just call it the cripple pass. People know what I mean when I say that. Like, you don't even have to know the intricacies of the various names for things with the bus passes, because there's the 2-level cards. There's the fair deal, which is half price, but that does not have a ride service. And then there's the A ride pass, which is the green card. The fair deal is red. Or there's the green card, which does have the car service, and everybody knows that the green pass, that's for the disabled people, and it includes a couple little bonus perks that people who just have the red pass don't get. So it's like you're definitely disabled if you've got the green card. You're on Medicare or low income if you've got the red card. So then what happens? So I call, and well, first I got up a little bit earlier than I really needed to. And when I say a little bit, I'm talking like half hour, 20 minutes, So even though I had scheduled the car for 1:45, I thought it was coming at 1:30, but because I didn't have a working phone, I had to wait downstairs for them. Usually they call when they get here, because I've got a note on my chart, but I called the night before just to make sure that they knew I didn't have a working phone. And then don't try calling, or if it's automated something or other, because sometimes it just, because they understand, like with the automated thing, it's I hope they've got it programmed so that they know that sometimes stuff just goes to voicemail for whatever reason. But I came downstairs, and so basically I was waiting out for about 15 minutes longer than I had to, because they want you to, because they say it's up to a half-hour window for the person who's going to be driving you to even get there. So I was expecting, okay, car would be as late as 2:15, which would get me there in just under an hour, if they were going to take the full hour, to get me there. Because they say to plan, so that you have up to an hour before your appointment. But she's been my doctor since I was 13, and we even commented on that I've been a patient of hers longer than at least one, possibly both of her kids have been alive. I think her daughter is the oldest, and she just turned 21. I think she did, anyway. I know the son hasn't. I don't remember. I really don't. I know she's got the two, and the oldest is the daughter, and I think the daughter just turned 21 or something. Oh, wait, no. I think she was pregnant when I was seeing her when I was 14. So I had been seeing. So, okay. Her daughter's about 23-ish. So, assuming I'm correct in remembering that timeline. So, yeah. So I get out at 5 on Thursday from the doctor. And so it's a will call to pick up. It almost always is when I'm going out to see my doctor, because they say to plan for up to 2 hours. At the same time, it's a very busy clinic that she's out at a lot. A lot of times it's very busy anyway. And, it can be up to half hour after my appointment time before I'm finally seen, just because of how busy things can get. So, and that's what happens. So I get out at 5. It's like 5 minutes to 5. I even call, before I step out of the checkout area. Okay, I technically stepped out for like a second. Then I was like, oh, wait, got a call. Pulled myself back in. So, I call before I completely leave the checkout area. It's like 5 minutes to 5. It was about 5:40 when he came to get me. So, and you can't just request, all these, different stops. You gotta go back to the point of origin, which was home. And they put some rules on there. Like, I think you can plan it, like if you call ahead and you plan a big, trip or something, but I don't know. Like how much that's allowed, but that's another story for another time, and I got to look into that before I say too much conclusive about it. But to my understanding, anyway, you got to go back to your point of origin where they picked you up for your appointment. So yeah, it's not like I could have had him drive me out to Oak Valley Drive, to the Sprint store. No, he had to take me home. It's already 5:40. I got home a little bit after 6. Yeah, I left at 6:30, so it was about 7:15, 7:20ish when I got to that. Okay, I'm remembering it all now. So yeah, like by the time I got home, there was no time to go out to the Sprint. By the time I got home from my doctor's appointment on Thursday, there was no time to go to the Sprint store anyway. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm just going to game night and try to forget some of the stress from this last couple days with this broken ass phone. Okay, then Friday, Friday was the vacuum, and by the time I got a couple other things done that I needed to do, there wasn't really any time to do anything else. So I just, went back home, had some lunch, and went out to go see The Room at the Michigan Theater. It's like every other month they're doing midnight movies now. It used to be every month at the State. For a while, for a few summers ago, it was every week, like every other week in the summer, there was a midnight movie at the State Theater. But they're both owned as a tax write-off by a goddamn local millionaire, 100 millionaire, something like that. Not quite a billionaire to my understanding anyway, but like both theaters are owned by the same, family as a tax write-off, long story short. Let's see. Saturday I had to get up early to take stuff to the post office that I couldn't do on Friday. And then what happened was so my friend JC reopened Pangaea Piercing, and I'm going to do a video about JC. You can go see The Modified World, Pangaea Piercing, Pangea, on YouTube. He's got a little silver medal thing from YouTube in the shop right now. He reopened his shop after a summer of heavy drama, and that's a story and a half. So, yeah, I got up a little early because my friend Pierre was picking me up for that, and he also works at the shop. He was picking me up for that for the grand reopening. They're having a holiday sale, so up until the 23rd. They're waiving the piercing fees. So you get a piercing basically for the price of jewelry. You're allowed to tip, but there's no pressure on you to. I was there last night while somebody else was getting pierced, just sitting there charging my phone after the replacement one came. And this guy's just like, oh well, if you're waiving the piercing fee, and I've seen so much stuff online, and actually talking to you, I'm sure this is all just overblown negative hype, so here's a little something. Oh, you don't need to do that, man. no, I happy Christmas. So then what happened? Saturday, and then so let's see, post office, then to the Sprint store. I did the post office just before 2, then to the Sprint store, and the guy there, I heard the machine working, and he said it was like pocket lint and cat hair, that he blew out of the charge port. And it did take a little bit of charge. It went up from 18 to 25% charge while I was in the store, but then I had to leave to get back on the bus to get back to downtown Ann Arbor to get back home. So on the good side, I did have just enough charge to check my bank account, and I got my Social Security disability check a little bit earlier. They usually don't do it until the 3rd, unless the 3rd is on a holiday or a Sunday. Then they do it the Friday before. But then what happened? But occasionally, even if the 3rd is not, I don't know, occasionally you'll see it come through early and it'll be stuck as pending, but because it's a federal check, it will go, it is almost 100% guaranteed to go through as a federal check. So then what happened? So yeah, like my bank will let me use that. I don't know about your bank, but my bank will let me use it, while it's in pending status. So then what happened? Let's see. Then after Sprint, then I get back to the shop and think, okay, I'll just charge it a little bit more. It would not take a charge when I got back to Pangaea. It wasn't taking a charge at oh shit, who's the new guy that he's got working there? I don't know his name yet. He's the new guy. So yeah, he has an Android phone, and he was letting me, he let me try out his cable. It did not take a charge from his cable. I got out a brand fucking new cable on my way back. And no, I got it on my way out. No, I did get it on my way back. Yeah, I got it on my way back. I don't know why I'm remembering things differently. Even for a second. So I got a cable on my way back. That didn't work either. I was able to get it back to just under a 20% charge. And my plan by the time I went to bed on Saturday was, okay, I'll get up early again, go back to the Sprint store in their, limited Sunday hours until 5:30, and then like pretty much get on the last bus available back home. Unfortunately, Sunday, I got up, you get up, you pee, and and then you go all about with your day. I got up and I peed, but only a little, but at the same time, I'd been peeing all day yesterday. Like every time I went into the store, it felt like I had to pee. But at the same time, Saturday, I realized just before I got home, I didn't have that much to eat. But I had been drinking water all day, so that's what was keeping me going, was the water. And coffee. I did have coffee too. So, it occurred to me Saturday that I didn't have much to eat, so I got home, Saturday night, got a burrito from the place up around the corner. I guess it's that corner. Okay, yeah, it's that way from here, at least from where I'm sitting. So let's see. But the burritos at Stuffed, they're like even the regular size, I want to say by weight, it tends to be a little bit bigger than they are at Chipotle or Qdoba. So this is their regular size, and this is their stuffed size. It's like almost twice the size by weight. So even their regular size, that was a little too much food for me. I had like maybe a third left. I had 2/3, of something this big, and then I had like about that much left over. So I'm like, okay, that's breakfast. So, I covered it up. So that was going to be breakfast along with my coffee and my orange juice and my almond milk. And so Sunday, I finished the last of the burrito. I get up, I pee. It's not very much, but I'd been drinking and peeing all Saturday until, I got home. So that sort of made a little bit of a sense. Also, like, since the day of my doctor's appointment, because it was, they want you to do the 12-hour fasting. I think they say 10, but I always go for 12 just because it's easier to do the maths. Especially since I have 24-hour time set on my phone and my tablet. Granted, I've got my watch too, but so there was a little bit of a hammy smell to my urine after I got back from the appointment. I looked up what that could be about. They said, oh, it could just be concentrated urine. I was thinking, okay, well, maybe, that could be related to the fasting. Could be a buildup of protein in the urine. And I was like, okay, that could also be related to fasting. Or it could be a bladder infection. And I figured, okay, well, I just saw the doctor today anyway. And she did, like the full, like, blood panels and the urine cup. And if it's any kind of infection, I'll find out right away. She'll call in script to my chemist. And, and it had been intermittent off and on, like it was like almost every second, sometimes every third time I pee, there was like a vaguely hammy, bacony sort of smell. But again, I didn't worry about it too much because my appetite is not the greatest. Granted, I'm a little over 200 pounds, which is not an ideal weight for a 4'11". So it's not like my appetite needs to be great. It's just because with all the medications that I'm on, it's best that I have, at the very least toast, with each intake of meds, or at the very least something with, a decent amount of calories, like coffee with half and half. And like, it's okay if your breakfast, it's actually okay if your breakfast is kind of light. The idea of a big breakfast, that was not, like, the idea of a big, fatty, hearty breakfast for everybody, that only came about, I want to say, late 19th, early 20th century, basically when hog farmers were trying to sell more meat to people. Prior to that, like, the big hearty breakfast would be like, a bowl of oatmeal, something that, has enough like dense calories and a good fiber content, that will help, and that was seen as a very working class thing, whereas like the middle and upper and leisure classes, they would do just fine with a very light breakfast, like, toast or, toast or crumpets with jam or something, or even just a muffin, like the cupcake style ones. God. Something light, something, toasted, and some coffee, and, something, whereas a big hearty breakfast, that was working class thing, and, as in like manual labor. But I'm getting sidetracked again. So, I wasn't thinking anything of it at first. And then Sunday, I pee only a little bit. I want to say a good 3 seconds versus my normal 7 to 10 seconds first thing in the morning. But again, I didn't think anything of it right away. And then I finished my last third of the burrito, of Saturday night's burrito. And I finished that for breakfast. And I think I did finish full almond milk with my Miralax stirred into it. I definitely finished my orange juice with my morning medications. And I just kind of started on one of these of coffee, and it was drank to about where it's at now. It's about 2 inches down in this mug, which is a little under 5, so not quite halfway through one of these. Meaning I really underestimated how much I told the ER nurse. And so after I got about this much coffee, about this much coffee, about there. So about this much coffee, I suddenly had some very sharp abdominal pains on my left side. It's still a little tender there, not too bad. And if you're thinking, oh, well, it shouldn't be tender there. Well, I got to the ER and I figured out that, at least in my case, I mean, yes, if you hadn't been seen by a doctor, you might want to worry about that if it is tender there. But in my case, let's see. Well, first I was in it was very sudden and very sharp. And I thought, okay, maybe it's just some kind of muscle cramping. So I took one of these. This would be my muscle relaxer. And I also took one of my half tramadol things. I've only got 2 halves left. Woo-hoo. I'm not a big fan of. I guess this has been reclassified from a pseudo opiate to a full opioid. Um, but I'm not a big fan of them because this is why I'm on this, because I can't crap like a normal person my age, and I haven't for about a decade, and I'm 38 now, so do the maths, kids, do the maths. So I took my pain medicine thinking, just thinking this is odd, but, if my pain medicine can help, then it's nothing I can't live with until I get my phone fixed, and I'll just go to urgent care if it persists. And then I stood up to get in the shower, and suddenly the pain went from a very sharp 7 to a slightly less sharp, but it was at, I would say it was just under a 9, maybe. So it definitely increased quite significantly, just from sitting where I am now to standing. The reason I sit on the floor for my breakfast is because this way I can lay things out. Like, even if there was a clear spot on this coffee table, there's not a whole lot of room for me to lay various things out. It's not a very big, well, it's kind of long, but it's not incredibly wide. And plus, like, when I fill out my pill pods every week, like, even if this was cleared out, there's not, I don't know. It's just, whatever. I like sitting on the floor. But I do like sitting on chairs too. I like to mix it up sometimes. But so then I thought, okay, I'll sit in a bath instead of standing in the shower. But for somehow then sitting back down, it hurt more than it did when I was standing. So I stood back up, and it did hurt slightly less standing back up. Like, standing had gone to about an 8. So I stood in the shower and I took a shower, and it wasn't a very good shower because I hurt a lot. And then I took a couple of Tylenol that I got in my medicine kit. And I know they say that you shouldn't mix your pain meds, especially when you're already on some hardcore shit. But that's how much pain I was in. I was like, as long as you don't make a habit of it, every, like, you can probably get away with it once a year and be fine and in the clear and everything. It's just, under normal circumstances, you don't want to get in the habit of this. But, so I took a Tylenol, even though, I know I shouldn't, but that's how much pain I was in. I'm like, okay, I can fudge some of my, what I've been taught, just to, try and manage this pain I'm having right now. I even looked up what side your appendix is on, and it's usually on the right side in the area of your hip. So I'm like, okay, it's probably not appendicitis unless I've got an extremely weird arrangement of my internal organs. So at this point, I'm already I'm thinking, okay, I'm definitely going to urgent care after I get my phone looked at. Assuming I can sit through the pain. Well, I'm getting my phone looked at again. Unfortunately, by the time I got to the bus stop, it hurt to sit down on the bench. Again, I don't even know why I tried. And then I got back up, and I figured, okay, it's going to be a couple minutes before the bus comes around. I can I can just, like, pace around. It's nothing especially unusual for people sitting waiting for the bus, especially when it's cold like it was. Actually, no, it was in the 60s, but it was a little windy, so it was a little bit chilly, but whatever. It's like, so I'm pacing around a little bit, and the pain isn't getting any better, and at some point it just actively got worse, but I had no working phone, so I'm just, like, shouting for people to help me. Like, there's 5 people at the bus stop, and I swear it took just under 5 minutes for somebody to finally, call for me. And I'm screaming that I have no working phone. Somebody please help me, call an ambulance. I'm in pain. I'm screaming that And because it did feel like it felt like it had to pee, but I couldn't. Like, I tried to pee a couple times before I left because it felt like I had to, but I couldn't. Um, Ambulance took a little over 20 minutes to even get to me, and I don't live that far from one of the hospitals anyway, but I don't know where the ambulances are kept, but that's another story for another time. They asked where I usually go, so it took a little bit longer in the ride there, but at the same time, all of my records were at U of M, and U of M hospitals, they've treated me better than the St. Joe's people did. One time I was having an allergic reaction, and it was from something I ingested, but the doctor just blew me off that since I admitted that even though I was still taking, Vicodin. I was still on Vicodin that time. But since I said that I had been drinking 2 days before, he's like, oh, well, it's probably just alcohol, interacting with your meds. I'm like, that was 2 days ago. So he just blows it off as gastritis and gives me, and this is the cool part though. He gave me a prescription for belladonna, a belladonna elixir of belladonna. I still have the bottle. I still have a little tiny bit left in the bottle too, because who the hell gets a prescription for belladonna in? Oh God, I was still on Vicodin, so this was about 10 years ago. So yeah, like even in like 2006, 2007, who the fuck gets a prescription for belladonna anymore? But yeah, he blew it off, just because I was compulsively honest, and I said 2 days before I'd had like a glass of wine and a hard cider at the bar. I think that's all I had. I think it was just like a vodka and cranberry, but still, it's like it was 2 days before. There's no way it would have been gastritis. So, Scott and I were trying to retrace our steps just to figure out what exactly this was, why it seemed to pass so quickly after I finally pooped, and because I was doubled over in pain. He thought it might have been a kidney stone actually, but no, we figured it might have just been some mold I'd ingested because I'd been to the night before. We had been through the McDonald's drive-through, and I didn't feel like anything caffeinated. And they said their Sprite spigot was broken, so I just got their high C orange. But you really got to clean those little spigots on the little things that come off. You really got to clean those every night. I mean, you can kind of get away with, not giving them a good soak in, with a very mild bleach solution on the carbonated sides, because carbonated water is more acidic and it's harder for mold to grow on them. But when you're getting lemonade or high C orange, those can grow mold. And so we called that McDonald's and we asked, hey, I had, the high C orange. When was the last time you cleaned your spigots? And the manager said, I've been getting on them to clean those, and we're only just cleaning them right now. What happened? And so we're like, okay, well, there might have been little traces of mold, and and that might have been because it was less than 8 hours. In fact, Scott got fired because he called into work saying that that he had to take me to the hospital. That's another story for another time. So then what happened? So Sunday, I spent about 7.5 hours in the ER, and they said it was kidney stones. He's the doctor, oh God, who looks so much younger than. He didn't tell me exactly how old he was, but when he's saying that he gets that a lot, that he looks like fresh out of medical school. I'm guessing he really can't be too much older than me, if at all older than me. So he might be so he's probably closer to my age than he looks. And I'm closer to my age than I look. or so I hear anyway. So yeah, 7.5 hours on a kidney stone. Unfortunately, because I've had so many um like hardcore emotionally traumatic experiences with ERs, just like um you know, I could have called a night ride. Like the buses had completely stopped at that point in the night, and I don't even think the ones that were operable on Sunday. I think the only one that would have gone by me would have kind of been the 4, but even the 4 had stopped by then. So I would have definitely had to call a night ride or some other car service. And I just did not feel like putting up with a car full of strangers. I really needed a friend. So I called my friend JC. Um, about halfway through my stay. It was like right after I woke up from this nap I never intended to take. And so I called him up at the store because that was easier to find than dealing with the contacts that had been imported to my tablet a few days before. So then what happened is I called him up at the store and I said, that I was in the ER, that if I'm out by, that if I'm out in the area of 8 p.m., which is when he said he was closing up on Sunday, that I would call him to, come, give me a ride home. If not, we confirmed that I did have Pierre's number saved onto my tablet. So if it was significantly after 8, like, long enough that he would have, been far from the shop at that point, to just give Pierre a call to come get me. And, JC was going to text Pierre to clue him in on what was going on. Just in case I called. So yeah, I did end up calling JC. It was like 5 minutes to 8. I called him. Actually, I did find his cell number, and I called him to his cell number just in case, he didn't want to go anywhere near the store phone at that time. And then what happened is oh god. So yeah, that's why I didn't get anything done with the Sprint store on Sunday. Monday, I went back to the Sprint store, and the same guy who worked on it on Saturday was there, and so he just said, well, if that didn't completely fix it, then the charge port is probably just far too loose, or potentially corroded inside for me to do anything with it with what I've got here at the shop. So here's the insurance people. You can call it, like, all the display phones are set up to make outgoing calls. You can just basically like pick whatever looks nice and go make a call. One of the other guys tried to see if it would indeed be cheaper for me in the immediate to upgrade my phone, which it was not. Just because I have some back due or stuff due on this one still, so there would have been like something like $80 in combined fees, and then whereas this was just $50 for their replacement fee through the insurance people, which isn't too bad. It means I have $50 less money than I did today. I also couldn't get right to the Sprint store because of what? Because I had a dental appointment, and so there's this tooth I have chipped, and it does need a crown. Unfortunately, they do need. I did misremember how much the crown would cost to do. It's going to be well, they take the other part of the crown process, so there's this $160 fee in the crown, but that's just basically to do something to the tooth to affix the crown to it. And then there's the 500 something odd for the crown itself. And unfortunately, so on the good side, they only count the let's just round that up to 600 because I think it's like 580 something. So so the $600 crown itself, that's all they count, not the 160 on the other side, on the other part of the process. So they only count the 600-ish fee for the crown, but they want 2/3 of that before they even start to work. So it's something like 580 or so. Yeah, I think it's somewhere in the area of, no, not 580, 380. So they want 380 before they even start working on the crown. Like no later than day of, before they even take you in back to put the crown on in your mouth. They want that $380 right up front. And that, while that is good that they don't want the whole thing up front and they will take the rest as a, paid on installments, this means, and they said that they've only been doing this like the last few years. So obviously somebody had to go and ruin it for everybody. Probably a string of people ruining it for everybody, but that's but that's not my point. My point is that eventually somebody finally ruined it for everybody. Like enough people had skipped out on enough crown work payment that, they want this minimum 2/3 up front right away. And, you just got to do what you got to do sometimes. So, this week, I'm going to be making a GoFundMe pitch video. I've already got somebody from my contacts list that's on my phone that's on my tablet that did not transfer to this phone along with everything else. And I don't know how that happens, but I even went looking for their number. Like they texted me back when I was just like inserting the numbers onto the website on my desktop computer. So I'm like inserting numbers to text to people from, the website, thing that does it for you on GoFundMe.com, and like, I know that, this is enough of a fee that I'm spamming people. In fact, like, I didn't even want to make, like, I also have a couple other things that need to be done with dental work. There are 2 fillings that need to be replaced. Then I've got a new one that does, need its own brand new, never done before filling. I was told that was like relatively small. So, but of course, with doing the fillings that need to be replaced, there's a little, there's been a little bit, decay up around where the filling is coming loose from. So, also because I was so crunched for time on Monday, I only got just the basic exam, not the cleaning. So we're going to also be doing a cleaning as well. That's another $50-some. So on the good side, my dental student and I have talked about like, pacing out these things, with my appointments. So I have some time to buy in order to get all of this work done. So I have plenty of time to, at the very least, put together $300-some odd, for the crown whenever that gets done. I'm also sending in reapplication stuff for my Medicaid, since I do have the Medicare, but that's federal, Medicaid is state. And so yeah, I do have to refill out my Medicaid application. It's like the first couple of times I tried reapplying, they never sent me the homework. They said they sent me the homework. I never saw the homework. Because, you do the first part of the application online. Then they send you the homework to do the rest and send it back. The third time, they did send me the homework. Unfortunately, I did stupid. I put it at the bottom of the mail stack because, it's a bigger envelope. It just seemed, arranged by size. Unfortunately, this meant it sat at the bottom or like kind of in the middle at some point in my stack of mail in the kitchen. And so it wasn't looking me in the face every morning when I make my coffee, reminding me, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. I also didn't open it right away when I got home because it was on the bottom of the mail stack. So I couldn't put the date to fill this out by, to send it in. So I didn't rediscover it until the day it was supposed to be back in his hands. I did, though, reapply online day before yesterday. So I still have the same homework. It's going to be the same homework. And I will just fill out this and send that back. So even though, oh yeah. In fact, I just got a text yesterday basically saying, oh, hey, we're sending you homework for this. So smart. So yeah, like if I'm truly lucky, the Medicaid stuff will go through and the bulk of my dental fees will be covered from here on out, and I might even get reimbursed or, at the very least have that other bill that, I would otherwise be paying $30 an appointment on for the rest of my natural life. I mean, if I'm absolutely lucky, that's what's going to happen. But just to be on the safe side, I do have an active GoFundMe. GoFundMe.com/RuadhanDental. So RuadhanDental. My name as it's spelled. Which if you're watching the video, you see how my name is spelled, and then dental, all one word, on there. Hopefully you know how to spell dental without me spelling it out for you. If you don't, I just did it. So back it up how, like a minute or so to hear it again. And that brings us to oh yeah, so I got my replacement phone in the mail yesterday. I have the broken one, which I thought I'd left it at home, but it just found its way onto the bottom of my backpack, out of the little internal pocket into the bottom of everything. So I could have sent this out right away yesterday. On the other hand, I'm kind of glad I sat on it for another day because, there are a couple things I did want to get off of there before I sent it out. So yeah, then what happens? Then we're here today, and I was starting the latest episode of The Connors from last night, and I should probably go poop. All right. I love you all, bats and kisses. And I take care, and goodbye.